Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's time to talk about something super deep. It's those damn clowns again. Just kidding, it's not those damn clowns again. That's so deep, if I went back into it, I would fall into it. Oh, if you missed it on Twitter, though, one of the clowns in Wisconsin got arrested with a weapon on him. So, armed clowns, okay. This is why I have multiple guns, people. Back in the Magic the Gathering world, you guys remember Gravity Bomb, the greatest standard deck ever made in all of human history? Oh, for you people with no sense of humor, that's hyperbole. I'm just kidding. Although I did just win F&M again with it, I won every single round and had one single game loss. So almost a perfect record. And these games were not close. I mean, they would bring out some stuff, I would tap it down, I'd hit them, I win. That's it. That is all that happened in these games. Basically, I mean, it's Black Death 2.0. If they rely on creatures, they lose. And that's the problem. People have been complaining about Standard right now because it's just so control heavy. And the leader of the whole damn thing is Spell Queller and very close behind Reflector Mage. Those two cards are absolutely absurd. Usually control, and control, I don't just say counter spells because some people think control, they're like, okay, counter spells and like kill, removal, exile, whatever. I consider control to go all the way to tap down or pinning down, with your incrust, your claustrophobia, anything that pins something down. Oh, Singing Bell Strike, that was a classic. Anything that screws with your opponent and messes with their board state and stuff, bounces stuff back to hand, pins it down, taps it down, whatever, that's control. So that's my definition of control, and the thing about control is that it stops your opponent from doing what they're doing. Now, I've classified decks into three different categories: Drag Race, Control, and Weird. Weird is like alternate win conditions, or basically any deck that's so out there it just doesn't really fit into a category. Like Board Wipe, Resummon, Reshuffle, Board Wipe, Graveyard Recycle, that loop. That was some messed up stuff. God, that was at the 2013 World Tournament, I believe. It was also seen recently with some Origins cards. But otherwise, Drag Race is, my deck does what I do. It has nothing to do with your deck other than blocking and attacking. I don't use control. Maybe there's some ambush boost. Other than that, I'm just trying to do what my deck does and beat you before your deck does what it does. Now, besides somebody's game just falling apart because of, a mulligan or a bad set of draws or whatever, besides that, if both of you are playing properly and you've got proper luck, then the better deck will usually win. My prowess deck, Mr. Nibbles, that's a Drag Race deck. I mean, there's no control in that damn thing. Mr. Nibbles will actually tap down a creature, but other than that, I mean, it's just like, I'm going to hit you. I don't even care if you counter swing because I'm going to hit you for so much damage it doesn't matter because you're not going to beat me. Now, the problem with Drag Race decks are, one, if somebody builds a better deck than you, it's useless. You can't win. It just won't win. You can't disrupt what they're doing. What they're doing is more effective and better. So you darn well better be running the best deck in the world, and even if your deck is a little bit better, you better be going first, otherwise your opponent is going to get one additional attack phase more than you did. If the decks are really close in power, and it's really just an attack and do damage type of thing, with limited blocking capabilities without trading, I would definitely say that they have an enormous advantage, if not a guaranteed win. So Drag Race decks are stupid. So let's go to control decks. I mean, let's take Gravity Bomb because, well, I just uploaded it. It's psychotic at control. Like everything, every single spell is control. Half the creatures are control. And then there's like interaction between the creatures and the spells that adds more control. I mean, it's passive triggers, landfall triggers. Late game, basically, I told somebody one time, all I have to do to win is draw a land, a creature, or a spell. And they thought about it for a second. They're like, so anything. And yes, I drew a land. Oh, look, landfall, retreat, and the Sphinx. Goodbye. The only thing I couldn't draw was a creature that was really big, like a creature that didn't tap one of their creatures. So I took a theme and went nuts with it. I honestly, I knew it would be a strong deck, but I didn't know it would be like an insane deck. But it does make sense because it's extremely control heavy. Like it just revolves around control. Everything is control. Hitting them in the face with creatures, I mean, it works because there's two gigantic creatures in the deck, but other than that, I mean, yeah, it relies on the fact that they're flying and the ones on the ground might get the blockers out of the way and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, I mean, I usually finish a game with 18 or more life points. I mean, just think about that. Think about how one-sided that is. The problem is, I went up against somebody who was primarily not using creatures, and I didn't stand a chance in hell with that deck. He was running a white-black Planeswalker control aggro kill. I mean, it wasn't even like control, it was just kill. Like, just kill, 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 removal, 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 exile. So yeah, control, but specifically that type. He had a couple creatures out there because at the end of the day, he had to win the game. But usually it's like, I'm top decking, everything's dead, everything's in the graveyard, and now he's hitting me with one or two creatures, plus some Planeswalker abilities, some zombie emblems, you know, that type of thing. My deck just wasn't ready for that. And Wizards makes sure that you cannot simply just like make a counterspell deck. And I mean literally the spell counterspell where you pay 2 as an instant and counter a spell. Deprive isn't in standard, Mana Leak isn't in standard. Trying to think what else is really good. Psychic Barrier. And even with all those together in Modern, I mean, my Beholder deck is barely hanging on. It really would benefit from the spell counterspell. But they're not exactly putting that first in line to print in Standard because you could build just a shutdown deck, like a draw-go deck, where you just wait for them to do something, kill it, and then maybe on your turn summon something. So they made it impossible, like perpetually impossible, always in all formats, to just shut down everything, to just absolutely counter everything your opponent does, and then slowly swing at them. My Beholder deck is about as close as you can get, and that one's kind of shaky. I mean, if there was a duplicate for Isochron Scepter and like a little bit better creature than Judge's Familiar, like a Void Mage clone, then it would be doable. Now it just sits as a really good deck, but not like insane competitive. It's still a nightmare to play against, but if it slips up once, it usually dies. So you can't just say, I'm going control to the point where my opponent can't do anything. They're just, everything they do is completely shut down. But if you go like 16 control cards and then some creatures with some aggressive capabilities, some high power, okay, now you're playing a control deck. It gets worse when some of those creatures just happen to have like passive triggered abilities where, they can do more control-y stuff like bounce something back to hand. That's why Heroic was so insane. So right now you've got Spell Queller and Reflector Mage, which just break everything. I mean, it's just like what I said, but double. They try to summon something, so they're burning a card out of their hand, they're reducing their hand size by 1, they're using probably, we'll just say all their mana. I mean, sometimes people cast 2 things on their turn, but that's not the norm. So they're using a turn worth of mana to try to get out something for 3 or 4 mana, whatever. And they throw it out there, and then you say, nope, Spell Queller. And you drop it in, and now you have, well, let's say they're summoning a creature. They have -1 creatures. You have +1 creatures. So that's a 2 creature effective advantage, and you just burned their entire turn, basically. Spell Queller is also flying. So now it has the ability to hit them constantly, and now they have to try to remove Spell Queller, or they're going to get hit with it repeatedly until they lose. That is insanely powerful, and it's almost always in the same deck as Reflector Mage, which means, oh, I bounced your thing back to hand, and now you gotta wait to cast it. Now, if you can't actually wait to cast it because you're going to lose the game, that's a little bit of a problem. If all you're holding is 2 creatures with the same name, ooh, you're in trouble. So right now it seems like white-blue control, spirit semi-aggro, token control. There's a million different versions of it, but it's all just so control-heavy, and the control is so effective that unless you're just flooding dirt-cheap spells, you're going to lose. And even then, white has ambush and removal, so even if you manage to get something past the Spell Queller Reflector Mage barrier, and even just the really decent counterspells that are out right now, you now have to keep it on the field. And by that time, they're simultaneously building board presence. I mean, you can't have 2 ultra high control creatures that can just be dropped in and disrupt the game, and then, oh look, I also have creature advantage. It's too much, it's too powerful. The trade-off between a Drag Race deck and a control deck, every time you shift closer to one end or the other, is you do less damage. So you're stopping them from doing what they're doing, but now you have less capabilities to hit them and hit their life total. I would say in standard right now, that's barely true. I mean, yeah, you could go like, you know, vehicle rush, red wind, semi removal, white red vehicle ambush boost. Those are some effective decks, and they just plain run you over. I mean, they're good. But also, I mean, everybody remembers Bant Coco. Coco was like, oh, well, you spent all your spells and your cards and stuff on, counter spells and exiling and that kind of thing. Oh, no, now you're out. Your deck sucks. Oh, wait, let me effectively draw 2 cards and then cast them for free for you with just 1 spell. It's like 1 card is 2 cards plus extra mana. I mean, because you're summoning things for free. Oh, then you know what you're summoning for free? Reflector mages. I mean, it cascades, and it's just nuts. R&D made a huge mistake. The one thing that they can't do in standard is let control get out of control. They have to control. Well, right now they better like hit Control Alt Delete or something, and I didn't even know we were in a metaphor, but apparently we are. They need to open Task Manager and end process on this level of control, because nobody likes playing against control. You want your deck to work. You don't want to throw a card out and then put it straight in the garbage, aka the graveyard, because it didn't do anything. I had somebody at FNM today come up to me and said, that was the most pointless game of Magic I've ever played in my entire life. And of course it was against one of the try-hard jerks there, one of the guys I really don't like. He just plays the most obnoxious OP as balls net deck and acts like, there's nothing wrong with that, and he's quite unfriendly. So, yeah, he's playing this hyper crazy, stupid, expensive, control-heavy nuts deck. And the guy who was playing against goes, yeah, I just would throw a spell out, he'd counter it. I'd throw something out, he'd kill it. I'd throw something out, he'd exile it. Throw something out, and then I'm out of cards and he wins. I mean, that was the whole game, every single game. Does that sound like fun to you guys? Does that sound like a fun, fair, awesome time, great game of Magic? You want to come back next week and do that again? No, control's a load of crap, but without control decks as an option, you would have nothing but Drag Race decks, and guess what? There would be 1 net deck, and I mean 1, because one of them would be mathematically the highest damage the fastest, and then it would just come down to who goes first. It would basically be Vintage and Legacy. But Desolator, you don't understand Vintage and Legacy. You don't understand Vintage Legacy, okay? You're lying to yourself. You basically win on turn 2 or 3 with almost every deck. Get over it. You can't lie and tell me that that's not true. It's a freaking drag race, and if you go first, you have like a 50% advantage. Everybody knows that. Anyway, back in standard, it's just a mess. I mean, there's so many powerful control spells, and most of them are in the form of creatures. You just can't do that. It's bad design. It's just too easy to shut down every last thing that your opponent's doing, and that's what's wrong with standard right now. And the funny thing is, I can't name one single card that says this spell can't be countered. I mean, maybe there's 1 or 2, but I think they're instants or sorceries. There's no Loxodons. Hell, there's not even anything hexproof. Can you think of one hexproof creature? I can't. I'd be surprised if there wasn't one, but obviously it's such garbage that nobody's using it in their deck. There's no pro colors. I don't see hexproof. I don't see shroud, which is good because shroud sucks. I mean, there's not these layers of different removability. It's all just, oh, look at this big creature, and it's dead. It's exiled, it's pinned down, it's countered. I mean, there's just nothing special, really. Oh, then they've got meld. Okay, you want to meld some stuff together from Eldritch Moon? Now you've got 1 target to remove. You just made their job easier. They'll just bounce your creature back to hand, and oops, just paid 5 to meld it. Oops. So yeah, even I hate going up against control decks, and everybody knows that I play control-heavy decks because I like to win and I like to shut down net decks, okay? People go find the net deck, that's the biggest Drag Race deck, and it does tons of damage in an unfair amount of turns, and I like shutting that down and then controlling the game and slowly, methodically taking over the game and winning. It's difficult, it's decision-heavy, and it relies on your skill as a player. That's why I like it. So I tend to play those decks, but I know people playing against me. Every single time that I counter one of their spells or remove one of their creatures, bounce something back to hand, I just made the game worse. I just made the game less fun. If you get out hit with a Drag Race deck that's immensely faster than yours, though, that's about as fun. So, I mean, basically I'm saying nobody likes losing. So Wizards really needs to cut the control. I mean, control cards are very, very attractive. People like them. They drive up the cost because people will buy them. Spell Queller is still worth a fortune. Reflector Mage arguably was kind of worth a lot for its rarity. It's a cheap and easy way to, let people build all kinds of decks and then like dominate with them and look cool for figuring it out, I guess, or whatever they're shooting for. I don't even know. But too much control and too effective of control completely ruins the game. The real purpose of control, to be fair and fun and balanced, is to let somebody buy time against a really fast, good deck until they can do something a little bit slower and a little bit less effective and just see if that works. It's just a stall tactic while you do what your deck is supposed to do. Or you've got Gravity Bomb, which taps everything, or Blue-White Spirits, which just destroys and shuts down everything. So yeah, they've let it run a little rampant. That's what's wrong. And if you see less attendance at Standard, it's probably because everybody and their grandma built Blue-White Spirits. But Desolator, at my very scientific sample size of 1, my own LGS, nobody plays that deck. Great, you're the only one. Go somewhere else. Worldwide, there is a lot of Blue-White Spirits. That said, I'm going to try to get away from control because everybody at my FNM is playing it. I'm going to try to make a control evasive deck, and I think I've got a pretty good idea. And obviously I'm going white because, indestructible, maybe there's still a pro colors spell, that kind of stuff. They seem the most capable of doing it. I just want to blast through people. Plus, there's so much lifelink and so much first strike. You can just dominate combat, and then you're free to put a couple actual spells in there to support your line. Either passively boost them, permanently boost them, or ambush boost them, or just save them with Indestructible. There's like 2 or 3 mass Indestructible spells right now. It's crazy. Selfless Spirit, Make a Stand, and I think there's a third one. Oh, there is a +2/+6. I mean, you might consider that maybe, kinda. So look for that, and, just keep it in mind. Control is completely out of control right now, so don't build a combo deck, obviously, but if you're going to build some kind of traditional, I'm going to hit you with creatures real quick deck, just keep in mind that there's so much control, you might have to, start removing cards from people's hands directly before they can use them to control you. As much as I think that's an even more unfair tactic than any amount of control, I guess you could still call it control, and that's just Black's trick. So maybe look to that, otherwise, like I said, just drag the game out. Gain life, gain life, gain life. I mean, if they're running control heavy, it's still going to be pretty hard to dominate long term. Wait for them to top deck, nuke the board, hit them back. There are ways around it, there is hope, and I guess I'll end the video on that happy note, so I'll see you guys next video.